Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So today, I am Britishy Georgie today. I'm wearing my Britishy jacket, my Georgie jacket, hood on because I feel extremely bratty today. Like super brat. I feel like I could literally go partying tonight if I wanted to, which I don't think I actually could because I don't think there's anything going on in Derry, Alabama. But I want to I just feel wild. So I was like, wow, I have so many freaking characters in my mind and personalities and stuff. I was like, I might as well just have all these different coded things for you guys. And when I feel super brat, I don't know what I'm on, hypothyroid wise, but I literally feel like I'm drunk. I promise you I'm not. I'm not drunk. But I have super low dopamine right now. So I'm a brat. And I literally, to do this video, I had no energy or motivation, and I had to listen to 365 and just dance to it. And just try to find some energy within. So that's where we're at right now. But also, I'm responding to an evil man today. No, I'm just kidding. I'm responding to a man today. We're gonna talk about Ace Nate again. Because I'm okay. Admittedly, I sort of kind of hate watch him a little bit. I know that's bad, but it's because I feel like he's just kind of introvert cringe personified. And I feel like he just doesn't have the best takes. And so I'm like, you know what? I feel like a brat. I'm excited to react to him. And typically when I do these, I don't really agree with either side. I don't know if I can do it with Grace tonight. I'm going to be honest. Like I said, I literally feel like I'm drunk. I promise you I'm not. But I feel like I am. I already said that. I need my balloon and I don't have it and I'm mad. I'm mad. I feel like throwing a tantrum right now. I'm just kidding. Anyways, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's see if I get triggered. Odds are I probably will at some point in this video, but we'll see. I don't know. So I don't know if we'll watch the whole thing because he tends to do different segments and I don't want to cover other topics. I just want to cover the fat topic. So let's go ahead and go.
All right, so this woman here, she is in her car. Yet again, we see a lot of these, don't we? And she's kind of letting everybody know that the men she's matching with on the dating apps are not quite living up to their expectations. And if I had to guess, this is a woman here who kind of wants to fit in with the crowd of women expressing their frustration with the men they encounter on dating apps. But let's see what she has to say, shall we? Let's roll this.
I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it 3 times, I've said it 100 times. These dating apps are not for the weak. I just got back onto them Monday. It's Friday. I've been called crispy. Oh. I've been asked to join a couple in their marriage, and I'm not shaming. You're into what you're into. It's just not my thing, okay?
Yeah, honestly, when I was in my mid-fat era, which was probably from, I would say, I don't know why this is bothering me. You see, I'm fidgety. This is bothering me, but I don't want to take it off. I don't want to. I don't want to. No, I'm just kidding. I want to start crying. Anyway, so basically, I was in my mid-fat era probably from June 2023 till basically now. I mean, not really. I wasn't actually mid-fat from August. Oh my gosh. I am having such focusing issues. I would say I had a dry spell romantically from June 2023 till now. That's true. But I was technically small fat from, I want to say Oh my God, my hair looks crazy. Sorry, I am like really on one right now. You guys, I'm going insane. I was oh my God, I swear. I want you guys to see how I cannot focus for the life of me. I'm really having one of those nights right now. Um, yeah, my midfight era was like June 2023 to August 2024, but I still wasn't it. I guess I looked like crap or something. Still, no, I'm just kidding. I don't think I did, but it just wasn't quite enough, I guess. And then all of a sudden in November, it clicked. And then it's like, okay, you've arrived at the train station. Or as Eric would say, Bay Station, because he's obsessed with this Korean pop star named Hyolyn, and she has this thing called Bay Station. So I arrived at Bay Station, basically, in my Britishy jacket, feeling like a brat. And I'm like, okay, but yeah. So I kind of understand. The whole point of that long tirade was that I understand what she's saying. I get it. I was asked to be like a third. There were so many guys that wanted me to be like the other one, or like that wanted to cheat. And I was like, hell no. Like, I don't know. I don't know if they think you're like super desperate or something. Oh my God, this is like bothering me. I have anxiety. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if I swear, this jacket is so weird. I don't know if it's for like a really fat child or maybe like a fat short person or something. I don't know. I don't understand it because it's like, I just don't get it. I don't get this jacket. I just don't. I'm gonna have to get a new one at some point. But anyways, I was asked all those weird things. And I didn't like it. And I'm like, I'm not going to go for that. You know, even now, it's mostly like hookups and stuff. I don't think that I'm necessarily taken seriously, basically. Oh my God, my hair is really bothering me. I swear. I'm losing my mind, you guys. You guys are seeing me like lose my mind. I'm just going to leave it. My mom's going to hate this. And my mom does watch my channel and she hates it when I have my bangs like that. I'm just going to do it to spite her. So anyways, basically, I am feeling so bratty today. I really am. I'm having a hard time here. I get what she's saying. She's right. She's speaking truth. That's what I'm trying to say. My gosh, I need to get it together.
I had a man physically ask me if I've enjoyed my trauma. Huh? And it's like everybody says, oh, there's plenty of fish in the sea. And it's like,
I'm sorry. I know that this is kind of negative, but there is a dry spell in weight loss, especially when you're coming from super morbid. And I really try my hardest to tell people that are in that dry spell, like, it will pass. Because for me, it was very like, you know, Taylor Swift's The Prophecy. I literally, you know, it was rough. It was very tough for a phase. It was very, very scary and tough because, like, when you're super morbidly obese, you don't know if it's going to end. You don't know when it's going to end. You're just, like, sitting there. You're just a paper waiting, shades of grayish. That's all you are. Okay? It's really hard. And I don't think that it gets easy or it doesn't get any easier until you just kind of reach a certain point in weight, and then all of a sudden you're just like noticed romantically again. So it will pass, and all I can really say is just keep losing, and it will pass, and it will be okay. So you can give me your last coin to tell you it's gonna be okay. No, I'm just kidding. That's it for the Swifties. That's all you're getting today. Which, by the way, I've had to explain to guys so many times my obsession with Taylor. And they're just like, what, huh? And I'm like, look, I was just in David's chat like a few days ago, and he was like, Alex is obsessed with Taylor. Oh my gosh. He's like, that's all he puts on his Instagram and blah, blah. And I'm like, look, I have to explain. And I'm like, you guys have Star Wars. I have Taylor Swift. I have the Taylor cinematic universe. I have, I don't have Marvel. I have Taylor. And her life is crazy. And I follow it. And I look into the songs, and it's like a whole ass thing. You don't have to like it. I'm not one of those girly pops. I'm not like, oh, if a man doesn't like Taylor, or if a man isn't into it, then he's horrible. I don't feel that way. You don't have to like it. It's not about you. It's about me. The Taylor thing is about me, period. Her songs are about me. Okay? Capiche? Understood? You got it? Okay. Anyways, you need to understand that. Okay. I don't know what this video is, you guys. Just leave me alone. Okay, just leave me alone.
There are plenty of fish in the sea, but there are a very small amount of fish. A very minuscule amount of fish that are for me.
Yeah, I think the interaction of both, like what you're interested in versus what's interested in you, it can be really, really challenging, especially in that dry spell of weight loss, which we call it the mid-fat curse. Colloquially, I called it the duff. There's a lot of words, there's a lot of terms for it, although I do think only introverts can be a duff, but whereas I actually have a video with Lisa where we discuss thin by comparison, which is the extrovert version of duff, which is funny. But yeah, it's a thing. It sucks, but the only way out is through. So you just keep going, and then it ends. It ends. It ended. It's done. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
All I found so far are clownfish. I can't do it anymore.
He's triggered.
Okay, so there's that. So obviously it's ironic, right, having her talk about the bad options that she has on dating apps when she herself would be considered to not be a favorable option for most men on dating apps. So
okay, so he's, he likes to do like kind of the brute force truth thing. I kind of do too, so I'm not going to hate on him for that. I think he's right. And I know that that's kind of like, it's very harsh, but it's true. And I think it's better to just be honest about that kind of thing, because it's just a phase. It's a phase within it. It's so hard, because I know she's trying to lose weight. That's why I'm talking about it from a weight loss perspective. But it's very hard. And it does pass. It really does. I have to keep saying it passes, it passes, it passes. Like, literally, it does. But he's right. He is right.
well, there's that. And then I would say she actually has better options for a woman her size than a man would have at her size in terms of actually being able to get a match and going on dates. So she has a lot better than the men do.
I don't know. I don't agree with him. I think it's kind of similar in the sense of like, it could be harder to find somebody to take you seriously. But he's thinking of it from like the Manosphere mindset, which it's like, oh, like all men can't date and whatever. It kind of goes into like a whole thing, which I don't really believe that. I just think that I do think it's harder for sure. But I also think that it's really hard to explain to guys sometimes, but if your only options are people that you're not interested in at all, then do you really have any options? And I understand, like, sometimes women have like way too high standards, or it's like it's just too much, or it's just actually like it can be totally unrealistic. Like I think I even had a discussion with David one time about like how a lot of times women will want like a super rich guy or like a super career oriented guy. but then they want him to be around all the time. And I'm like, that's just not realistic. Like, if he's going to be that rich and stuff, he's probably going to be working a lot. So you have to be independent to be with him. And, that kind of thing. So it's like, there's a lot of that kind of stuff in women. I don't know if she's going to have anything like that, but it is true that you are more limited at a big size, especially to be taken seriously by people who are not fetishizing you, which is not necessarily favorable at all, because they will often try to sabotage your weight loss or try to stop it completely. Basically, that's the same thing. Oh my gosh, my brain is literally like mush right now. So that's not good. So I would not suggest ever dating someone like that for obvious reasons. But yeah, it's tough. I just lost my train of thought. So I'm going to go ahead and continue.
Then the men, though, who are actually her size. So if she were to be a guy looking like that, she thinks it's bad now. Good luck on the other side. But, growing up on...
Yeah, I think she has some attention. Maybe for a guy, there'd be like 0. That could happen. I could see that. Because for me, I had 0 for a minute. And I'm gay, and I had 0. And that was weird. I was like, oh my God. But then it passed. So I don't know. It's pretty wild. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is some kind of zone. I called it the eye of the deaf, where even women don't get approached at all or don't have anything. So I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah. Anyways.
Like Western entertainment, what I noticed is it's super common to see in movies men encouraging women to be heavy eaters. Like we often hear men saying something like, finally, a woman who doesn't just order a salad, or like...
Okay, I'm going to just say this because I'm kind of a bitch, honestly. But he has this weird obsession with like women eating too much. And there's a little bit, because he did this in the other video I did of him where he was talking about the rejected woman. And I don't know what it is, but it's giving slight toxic ritualistic. I mean, it's ringing. It's like a red flag of it, because it's like, it's not weird to eat. It is weird to, drastically overeat or whatever, obviously, but it's like, I don't know. He's very, very fixated on that, in my opinion.
Woman who can eat, etc. We've seen this type of shit in movies consistently. And then, of course, this type of man, this type of guy, will be encouraged by the "that's a real man" crowd for encouraging the women he sees to eat a lot. Like, that type of mindset will be applauded for sure. That type of approach to seeing women will be applauded. Me personally, I like a woman who can eat. Me personally, I don't like when women order salad.
Okay, I'm going to say this. This is also really harsh. This is a brute force criticism. It's like I said, I have been hate watching him for a while. He really acts like it's still like 2015. Or like he really acts like I wonder if he actually has left the house in the past 10 years. Like, a lot of the stuff he says, this is full shade intended, it's really dated. It's super dated. That is something that would have been true 10 years ago. I don't think that that's true anymore. I haven't heard something like that in forever. So I don't know. And, okay, here's a bit of advice for anybody who is anti-FA or like even making any kind of commentary or anything around it, even if it's like political or whatever, or your Manosphere or this or whatever. Please make sure that you're leaving the house if you're going to try to be an activist. Please, because a lot of times people do not leave the house And when they're introverted, they lose touch with reality. And it's very frustrating. It's like the Redditization of the brain. It's like you only read Reddit and you think that that's reality completely. And that's a huge problem. And it happens a lot online. And the photosphere is similar to the manosphere in the way that a lot of the photosphere also has the Redditization of the mind and introvert cringe. And they haven't left the house in 10 years. Because I do see your comments a lot, and you guys say like a lot of like fat acceptance has similar logic to like the, INCEL community or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it's because they don't leave the house a lot of the time. And I mean that full shade intended. Like, I'm an introvert. I get it. It's hard. But I leave the house all the time, daily. I'm out in public often. I try to do that because it's really important because it helps me stay grounded. It also helps me see like what's happening just online and what's happening in person. Like, because I have had people recognize my weight loss in person, for example. So I get that real life, face to face feedback. Also, like when I was in the eye of the duff, I wasn't just ignored on the apps, I was also ignored in person, like as if I was a ghost. So I could see all of that and then tell you guys. So that's why, in my opinion, my activism is more in touch because I'm actually touching grass. It's an issue.
That should not be encouraged, honestly. A woman who orders a salad or like is aware to keep her calorie intake at a reasonable amount day in and day out consistently is a good thing. It's like it's not that's not a bad thing. And yet somehow they've been able to just hammer home that women who order salad.
I think a salad is whatever, honestly. I know that that's probably controversial, but I don't think it's that great. I think you'd be better getting like a chicken breast or something at a restaurant. Like, I think it's better to have some actual substance to a meal. But, I do agree that it's good to not go crazy with calories all the time. I mean, I think that that's a rational, reasonable statement. It's like kind of like a no duh thing. But I also don't think there's anything wrong with a woman ordering a steak. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. So, yeah.
Lids at dinner is not necessarily a good thing, and men should like women who
I mean, if you're having dinner and you're having like 2 or 3 hamburgers, like a bunch of baskets of fries, 2 milkshakes. I used to go to Ruby's. I'd get like a burger, get tons of refills on fries, and get like a milkshake or 2. That's too much. That's bad, in my opinion. So it's like, it's always within reason, of course. Always within reason. That would be too much, in my opinion.
really, really eat. Like that's supposed to be some sort of like attractive quality. When in reality, for me at least, an attractive quality is having the self-control to know that if you eat too many calories in one day, every day, you're going to get overweight. So when I see a woman being careful about the food she eats, I like that. I like that a lot, actually, and that's a good thing, and that should be applauded, right? It shows, for one, she doesn't approve of being overweight. She has self-control and probably won't get fat in a relationship, right? She's gonna maintain that.
I think that there's some truth to that. I think it's good for anybody to care about their diet. I mean, I think that can definitely also be applied to men. I think there's a lot of men who just eat like shit. Sorry, I didn't want to cuss, but who eat like, you know what, really bad. And so I think that can go either way. I don't think that that's a gender thing whatsoever. I've always said, I think your habits and these kinds of things are more important. Your mindsets on fitness, your mindsets on weight are more important even than how you physically look at the moment. Because there are a lot of people who are extremely delusional about weight. And it's like, I don't know. Like I literally had to ask Eric one day, I was like, is it actually controversial to be anti-fat acceptance? And he was like, not really, but they're very loud kind of thing. Which I agree with that, but it's like there are a lot of people who act like if you say something that's not fat acceptance, that you're just totally crazy. And it's like, oh my gosh. Because to me, it's like, you're totally crazy. Like, it's laughable. Like, if I was talking to somebody and they tried to act like I was crazy because I said, like, you need to lose weight to get healthy or whatever, I probably would laugh in their face. Like, it's ridiculous. And I could never date somebody that has that mindset. Like, to me, it's like, you're a joke. You are a joke that I'm going to laugh at right now. Like, I would just, that's a moment where I get up and leave the date. I'm telling you now. If I was, I'm not saying like, oh, whatever. Like, I'm not talking about like concern for E followed by the letter D. I'm not talking about like, encouraging people to lose slowly or these kinds of things. I think that that's really good. I think that that is great. Making it less pressure to lose, but still like being supportive. That's great. That's a great mindset. That's like a very attractive mindset in somebody. I think that's ideal even. But it's like, if somebody was like, weight is like, somebody sent me a TikTok of somebody being like, weight is 70% genetic and blah, 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 blah. And it, like, if they're going to say that, it's like, I'm leaving. I'm getting out. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just not going to be with someone like that. I'm sorry. It's just so delusional. And I just can't. I can't do it. I can't even pretend. Especially with what I've lived through, it's like, you got me all the way fucked up if you think I'm gonna like take your little delulu seriously or even entertain it in a relationship. Hell no. How about a hell no? So no, anyways, that was kind of a long diatribe, but anyways.
That physique throughout the whole relationship because she values it. That's a good thing.
Values, yes. Valuing fitness, I think, is really positive, and it's definitely something to look for, I would suggest.
And we should not demonize that, and it's like this obsession that we see in the West of just be nice, don't hurt anybody's feelings, which, let's be real, usually is adopted by women and liberal males, is something I wish to see gone, banished.
I think that is, I don't know. It's weird. This is again, he's living in 2014 again. We're doing it again. I don't think that that's necessarily real anymore. I think there's a lot of people on the left that will hurt people's feelings. A lot. They may not hurt their feelings sometimes. I mean, even about the issue of weight, they may. There's a lot of people that are not fat acceptance on the left. So I don't agree with that statement. I think we're beyond that point in culture. I think that died, like I said, a long time ago. I don't know why he's living in 2014. But that was another moment because I'm like, no, like people say really harsh things all the time, just across the board. I think he's living in the past again. Just saying. Just saying.
It's not even genuine either. Like the people who adopt it will only be nice and avoid hurting people's feelings if those people agree with them. Like, how many times have we seen the body positivity people hurl insults regarding to
That's
someone's
true.
body when these people disagree with them. Like we hear they hurl insults at like short men or accuse them of having small D's, or also the people
That's
who
true. Well,
are
fat acceptance is very superficial. Like one of the first things they go after whenever I've interacted with them is the sound of my voice, which is very superficial. So they try to go for um they usually I don't think I've seen fat acceptance like go after like well, they will kind of go after gender a little bit. If I think if you're a man, they will cuz they have done that with me. But fat acceptance is like a weird like there's some kind of like loose like mythological connection to feminism there. I don't think the connection exists. I don't understand how a movement that advocates for the rights of women would include morbid obesity. It's just not connecting. To me, it is such a weird non thing. But I guess like in those weird like mythological things, they will attack you for being a man for sure. Um, but other than that, I don't think they really attack that much. But like I said, they do attack like my femininity. I've seen that, and then they also will occasionally. I have seen them say things about people's weight. Like I remember Jordan Underwood going after Sam at Every Size about Sam's weight. So they really do that. But it shows that when they say like you just hate yourself, it's a projection because they're kind of doing that to you as a way. It's weird. I think it has to do with toxic ritualistic, but it's always looks based or like superficial. So like a voice, my hairline, they'd probably say something about his hairline. You know, it's like they say things like that a lot because they're really, really superficial. And I think people need to keep that in mind, basically. And also, fat acceptance people are not nice at all. They're very, very vicious. So again, I don't know what he's living in or what time warp. You know, I just watched Time Cut with Eric. He must have been on the time cut back to 2014 because a lot of the stuff he says is totally irrelevant and like 10 years old. So, anyways,
like unapologetically in support of homosexuality, they will be
heaven forbid.
quick to call the straight man gay. And an
That
attempt,
too. That's very true. I've seen that a lot. But homophobia does not have a political orientation. I know that pisses people off when I say that, but it's true because I've seen that so much. I've seen so many lefties use being gay as an insult so much, and it does denote like their true feelings about it. So, yeah. Yeah. As I have always said, if I was ever to vote based on the issue of being gay, I wouldn't vote because I don't think either side is good on the issue, period.
to insult him.
But that's a whole other discussion that I'm not trying to get into right now.
And so I just it's bullshit. The things they say they believe in, do they really, right? Or do they really only believe in those things if you're nice to them, if you don't hurt their feelings with your disagreements, and say, I don't know, maybe you are a little bit more traditionally masculine. Well, that's toxic masculinity to them, of course. So that doesn't really exist. Traditional masculinity, toxic masculinity, to them it's synonymous, right? It's same thing, like men and women apparently to them.
Well, I think that they're okay with it as long as you support fat acceptance. You know, it kind of always goes back to that. It's like a very conditional thing. But it's like, I don't think it's so hard because fat acceptance has done such a good job at like tying itself to other movements, but it's not real. It's not a real connection. It doesn't exist. You know, fat acceptance it only serves itself. It's not actually a part of anything else. And you can criticize any political movement or anything, whatever, I don't care. But fat acceptance, I will always say, is not political either. It's not political. It is self-serving. It's always about itself, and it will tear anything else down to serve itself. That's basically how it works.
But like I was saying, right, it's just not genuine. It's all bullshit. It's superficial politics. It's just virtue signaling to fit in with the crowd. It's nonsense, ultimately. But, you know, it's like if someone is, let's say, an alcoholic and they're drinking too much and it's affecting their health, their ability to do tasks, etc.
I really hate this comparison so much. Oh God, I hate it so much. But okay.
That's an alcoholic. And pretty much everyone knows that should not be encouraged, right?
True. That's true. And I agree that supermorbid obesity should not be encouraged. I do agree with that.
But you better believe, like if there was an alcoholic acceptance movement that got strategically placed with emotional based arguments to weaponize empathy over about the course of 5 years inside of movies, from celebrities, major influencers, like social media, TV shows, the emotionally hijacked leftists and even some people who maybe would consider themselves a little bit more right-leaning, they would eventually be hypnotized into thinking we should let alcoholics just do what they want because it makes them happy, and shaming them.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I mean, when it comes to I think if he's talking about like a minority of people, sure. Maybe people who, this is harsh to say, but maybe people who have fallen for fat acceptance, they would be able to apply the same things to alcoholism because they'd be like, well, it's genetic and, you know, you're not actually in control of alcoholism and whatever. And they'd like go on this tirade about it, even though, again, I don't like the comparison because it's not similar, because you could just flat out never drink again. Like when it comes to eating and food and stuff, you have to figure it out because you have to eat. And like I said, it typically comes from a different part of the brain. It's more similar to OCD, especially if you have BED or something like that. It's more similar to OCD. It's not similar to addiction in the same way where you can develop a chemical addiction on alcohol. You don't really have a chemical addiction with food. It doesn't exist. People say that, but it's not true. It's a lie. It's an ED mindset. So it's not exactly the same either, because you could stop drinking and then you're not an alcoholic in like a few days. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like with weight loss, you have to like lose weight over a long period of time. So it also doesn't apply. So I don't think it's necessarily exactly the same. I think it would be a harder road for them to normalize alcoholism, but to a certain extent, it has been normalized if you want to talk about it. Like there are people who get drunk like almost every single day. And to me, that is alcoholism, you know, especially like in college and stuff. Like I do think it's normalized. And I do think there is denial in it, and I've seen it. And so I don't know. I think in a way it has been normalized because I don't think it's good to get blasted all the time. And a lot of people do. And it's seen as normal to do that. I don't think it is normal. So I don't know. It's weird. I kind of see what he's saying, but I also don't, is what I'm trying to say. It's like in between for me.
Could lead to them doing self-harm, right? And it's America, and just let people be. Why do you care if they're drinking themselves into oblivion and it's detrimental to their life? If it makes them happy, why do you care? So it's like all it
Well,
takes
those
is
are terrible arguments, and I do see that a lot for fat acceptance, and it's very annoying because those are all emotionally based arguments, and they're all crap. Honestly, they're all crap arguments. That's true.
like a massive push of propaganda to really just hijack these people as long as the arguments are emotional and like I said, weaponize empathy. Um, yeah, it's like this type of hands off approach that we continue to hear. Just why do you care? Let people do what they want. It's like people think this is the American idea, and I just don't necessarily agree because it's like to just let people destroy themselves, which eventually will start to destroy and decay societies that those people live in, right? And just like, yeah, letting people destroy.
Yeah, I think there's like a whole other level. Like, I've heard this argument a lot. This is kind of getting philosophical, and I'm not really in a good mental state for this, but I guess we're gonna go there. Honestly, I think it's not just letting people in America, it's actively encouraging people to destroy themselves. Like, I see it all the time. Like, people, I think, are like hyper competitive, and it could be in other countries in the West too. Like, I've seen it in other places. But people, they encourage other people to self destruct. It's one thing to just not really comment one way or the other, which should be more of like the live and let live mindset. But it's a whole other thing to like actively encourage somebody. And that happens a lot. So I don't know. I mean, I I don't agree with the notion that America is about like controlling what everybody does, but America is about freedom of speech. Like, you are allowed to have an opinion. You are allowed to have an opinion about what other people do, and people can choose to listen to it or not. And that's basically a thing, and there are a lot of the fat acceptance side of things. They really want to silence people that comment on this issue. In fact, most of their arguments, which are not really arguments, they are trying to constantly um they're trying to constantly silence you. That's their number one thing. Like, when somebody on fat acceptance says, "Why do you care?" That's not a real argument. That's them trying to shut you up. And so I think there is that element that people have forgotten about American culture. Like, American culture is about being able and free to speak your mind. And, you can choose to, you can choose not to. I choose to on this issue. I'm not willing to fight on every single issue, everything, all the time. I'm over it, honestly. I'm so over it. I'm really kind of honestly over politics in a lot of ways. I'm just so over it. But I will fight like hell with this issue, period. Because this is something I'm very passionate about, and I am patient enough, like, to actually like talk about this over and over again, like do the work, so to speak, with this issue. And I think that's really helped me to just like choose one issue as well, because I think that's the other thing is it's irritating to me when I see people try to do everything, and it's like, oh gosh, I don't know. That's just like a personal thing, but anyways, let's continue.
For themselves if they want, removing all stigmas, in my opinion, is not a masculine idea. It's actually, it's like a sign of a lack of cultural masculinity. And the thing is, like, I believe that femininity in itself is a fundamentally good thing. I think I've said that before. But I would say that a balance is needed, of course, with masculinity being the majority, and femininity being the minor, being the minority, which I guess would be a patriarchy, right? I would say that that's probably what a patriarchy is. And
It's just so on the nose, isn't it? I would say that what he's defining as masculinity, it has to do with limits, certain cultural limits or certain standards. And I have seen a lot of, especially, oh my gosh, especially fat acceptance women, they absolutely abhor any limit or any standard whatsoever. And I don't think that that's healthy. I think that the standards need to be attainable, they need to be realistic, they need to be rooted in reality. I think all those things are really, really important. And I think that in the past they weren't. But they've kind of thrown the baby out with the bathwater. And that's not balanced either. And so if that's what he's trying to say, then I would agree with that. That's how I would word it though. Because I just feel like if you say it's masculinity or femininity or all this stuff, like there's just so much, it's not very clear. I would say it has to do with standards and, you know, in limits. And people, a lot of people have a huge issue with that within fat acceptance. They cannot stand either one of them. They hate it, and it's not normal. I will say it is not normal to viscerally hate standards and limits. It's not okay. You're being a brat, which, hey, I'm being a brat today, but you're being a brat. It's giving, I didn't have good parenting. It's not normal. I'm letting you know. And people do that when it comes to this issue, and it's very cringy and awful, and I hate it.
and I just simply don't think that's in the West. I don't think that's what we see. Quite the opposite, actually, which is why body positivity, all these types of movements have run rampant. Is because I don't think that masculinity is the major influence. But of course, you'll have the leftists and feminists disagree with me on.
I think it's kind of like there's just not that great of advocacy. Like fat acceptance in recent years, it has changed. Again, he's living in 2014. I told you, we've established this. But since 2020, anti-FA has started to speak up. And this is all across the political spectrum. I always make sure to say that. Anti-FA has started to speak up post-2020 and actually show up and advocate for the opposite. And I think that that has done so much good in this issue. And I think prior to that, it was a lack of effective advocacy for the opposite. Because if people only hear one message, then they're going to believe that message. They're going to start to passively accept it. And that's what we have to speak up against. And that's why I speak up against it. I try to be an advocate against it because then people hear other arguments and then it becomes better. It's more balanced. And again, in something like fat acceptance, I don't think it should be balanced necessarily. I think it should be thrown out completely. That's my stance on it. Anyways.
On that, they'll insist there's still a strong oppressive patriarchy. I just don't see it. I don't agree. And things like this are signs of that lack of masculinity. And
or what I would say is limits and standards, which is true. There is a lack of that. Or there's just different limits and standards that are not helpful. Like, don't say anything about someone's weight ever. That's a limit and a standard. And I guess maybe he would view that as like masculinity or something, but it's not. It's just limits. But they're not, it's not a healthy limit. It's a weird limit. I don't think we should kind of like uplift somebody's delusion about their weight. I don't think you have to be talking about it constantly, but if somebody is like, I'm honestly just, I'm not interested in sleeping with you because you're fat. If somebody says that, they should be able to say that. You know, I hate to say it, but they should be able to say it. So, because it will help, it kind of helps to snap somebody back into reality. Because I think like that's something that has been really weird for me is like no longer being super morbidly obese and seeing that I was in like an alternate reality or something when I was that big. It's not good. It is so bad. And on so many different levels, like it's just horrible. And I think it's awful to just normalize that.
And that's what it is. But I must say, the masculine influence seems to be making a comeback. At least, I don't know. I mean, I'm a bit, um, what's the word? I'm a bit biased on that because this is what I see every day, and I'm kind of surrounded by the things that I agree with, which, you know, that's just how algorithms tend to work, specifically like YouTube and whatnot. But I have noticed that with shorts, you can kind of break out of the bubble a little bit. And that's when like my content will reach people who don't necessarily already agree with me. And then that's when I get called, incel, misogynist, oh, you're toxic, F-boy, blah, 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 these types of things. But occasionally, my longer videos will hit the people who don't necessarily agree with me, which is fine, which is good, which is ultimately what I want. But like I was saying,
He's putting me
I do
asleep.
think the masculine influence seems to be making a comeback, which, of course is a good thing. And I don't believe we have the trad cons to thank for that. Do you? I don't. They've been around for a long time. And somehow
Okay,
things...
he's getting like really in like we're getting into like the Reddit zone of this. I don't know if I can do it anymore. Sometimes when I'm watching him, which again, I admittedly I kind of hate watch him. I know that's kind of toxic, but I do. Sometimes what I do, this is so weird. I don't even know if I should say this, but sometimes I watch people that are like not good activists because it helps me. Because it's like I don't want to make the mistakes that he makes, even though I probably made some of the same mistakes in this video. But it's like sometimes I'm watching him and I'm just like, oh my God, I have to turn this off and I have to listen to So High School really quick. And so then I just do. Because it's like I just can't. Like, I feel like such a sense of lifelessness at this time. And so I think I'm going to have to stop. I don't think I can handle it anymore. I need to listen to So High School. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it. This is weird. This one was weird. I'm going to be honest. But it's okay. We made it. You guys made it. You made it through. Oh my God, my eye is twitching. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your day, night, etc. Peace.